I'm going to show you how you can work more in depth with blending modes and layers. So first of all, I'm selecting my background tan and I'm holding down my Command key and pressing the right bracket to move that up in the stacking order. I am then pressing Option-Shift-M, or on the PC you can press Alt-Shift-M. That changes the blending mode of that particular layer to multiply. There are keyboard commands for every blending mode, so if you have your favorite, learn it. Like for instance, I can press Option-Shift-S for screen or Option-Shift-N for normal. If you're on the PC, it's Alt-Shift, of course. So I'll go back to multiply, Option-Shift-M. They're all logical keyboard shortcuts. Now taking it a little further, I can also take advantage of blending modes when I use layer effects or styles. So let's go ahead and create some text on here. I'm taking my type tool. I'm clicking out on my image and I'm typing Rockstar. You can type whatever you want. My text is really small, so I am pressing Command A and then I'm pressing Command Shift greater than to make it larger. Now, if you're on the PC, of course, it's Control-Shift greater than. And these are the greater than or lesser than keys that are off to the right of your letter M on the keyboard. Now, the other issue I have right now is that my highlight is kind of covering up what my text really looks like. So I'm pressing Command-H to hide that selection. It's not really hiding the text. It's just that highlight that it's hiding, and my text is still active. So I can go up and click on the Select Text color box up in the options, and I can choose maybe this red color in the guitar and click OK. I want to take my text and I want to move the text closer together. And if you know anything about typesetting, there's something called tracking and then there's something called kerning. Tracking is when you change the spacing between multiple texts. And since I have all this text selected, I can press Option or Alt and then the arrow key to the left to make it less spacing or to the right to spread it out. But again, I can do this visually. If you're really into specific spacing and you want to kern text, which is adjust the space between just two letters, just put your cursor between two letters and use the same keyboard shortcuts, Option or Alt arrow to the left or to the right. So once I've got this selected, I'm selecting it again. I now again have to press Command-H to hide that. I'm selecting a font by selecting a font name up in my font family drop-down menu, and I'm pressing the arrow key so that I can cycle through the fonts until I find one that I like without actually looking at the font name, but choosing it based upon what it really looks like. And I'm going to choose Perpetua, bold, but you can choose whichever font you want. Now, taking this a little further, first of all, I am going to say, yes, this is the font I want. I am pressing Command Return. Command Return is the same thing as pressing this little checkbox up here. And then now the layer is named appropriately Rockstar. And I'm going to go down to the Add a Layer Style button, click and hold, maybe add a drop shadow, and click and drag. And you can see that I can adjust the shadow in here. Now notice that when I'm using these effects, that blend modes are also applied in here, in these layer styles. And I can change these if I want to create a different effect. Multiply happens to work well with shadow, so I'll leave that. Maybe I want to apply a bevel and emboss. I'm going to go ahead and leave this bevel and emboss going up instead of down. I'll leave the depth the same, but notice that I can change my highlight blending mode or my shadow blending mode. So if you want to have a different type of impact, your blending modes are also in your styles. We're going to do one more thing and then change the blending mode in this. I've got that I want to do an outer glow, but I want it to be a little bit bolder. So I'm going to change screen to normal. I don't want it to screen. And I'm also going to come down and change the size to make it a little bit larger. Now I've done a combination of different styles and I want to save this so that perhaps when I'm using this, maybe it's a web page and I'm using this for navigational tools, whatever, I can click on the new style button, add this as rock text style, click OK, and then click OK again. And you'll notice that I've added this style. I can click on this arrow to close this up. But I also have added that style to a styles panel, and it will be the last one listed. And if you would rather see this by a list, you can choose small list and then you can see the name. But notice that if I just create a new document, Command N, click OK. Oh, that's not big enough. I did clipboard. Let me just close that up. Command W, Command N, default Photoshop size, click OK. I'll come in here and type cool stuff. Go to my style panel and just click on that style, and it's applied all the same effects. So even if you're just using a drop shadow and you've changed the blending mode and maybe the size and the opacity, save it as a style so you can repeat it over and over again. I'm going back to the boy guitar, taking this one step further. You do have additional blending modes that are available if you choose to go under Add a Layer Style. If I hold down on this, there's something called Blending Options. If I choose this, I can access blending options that are also available up here in opacity and fill. I'll just show you where this is. Blending Options, and you'll see that you have additional blending options such as the blend mode and opacity here, and also something called fill opacity. I'm going to cancel this and show you an easy way to access this. Notice opacity affects the entire layer. Fill, let me open this back up again. Fill, when I click and drag on this, only affects the layer itself and not the style. So if you're looking to create something that looks like maybe it's embossed in stone, you could scan a stone in, just be careful on your scanner, or take a picture of a stone. You could do emboss. You could tell the emboss to go down in instead of coming up, and then you can just eliminate the text by pulling the fill down to 0, leaving just that shadow effect of going in. So to give you an idea, let me go ahead into the effects. I'll turn off the outer glow. I'll go into bevel and emboss. I'll go down instead, click OK, and maybe move this over just a little bit. The great thing about this is somebody can come along and say, you know, I like all those blending modes. I like that combination that you've created. But instead of rock star, let's just leave it as cool star. And I can type this in and all my effects remain the same. It's a great way to work with blending options.